The proximity alarm hit before I understood what it meant. 43 ship signatures collapsing out of hyperspace less than a kilometer from my hull, a precision my own navigators couldn't manage within 10 times that distance. Somewhere behind me on the bridge, Wren's voice cracked on a single word. Sir. I already knew whatever came next would decide whether the Cathari Empire survived the week. I should back up. 10 days earlier, we had a human prisoner in a cell 3 decks below, wrists locked in restraints rated to shear through hull plating, and she looked bored by it. Lieutenant Maya Cross. 5.5 feet of nothing that should have worried anyone. My interrogator, Krill, had broken prisoners from 40 conquered species without needing to raise his voice. He raised it for her. The defense grid coordinates for your home world, he said, or I stop being civil. Try, she said. My mother already knows where I am. His answer was a blade, meteor iron, ceremonial, meant to stop a hair's width from her face and teach her what fear tasted like. It had taught that lesson to 100 prisoners before her. It never got the chance with Maya. Her hand moved before the thought to move it could have finished forming. She caught the spinning blade by the grip the way you'd catch something someone had handed you on purpose, and the restraints sparked and dropped away where the edge had grazed them on its way past. Nice weight on this, she said, turning it over. You keep an edge, I respect that. No one on that bridge breathed. Both my hearts stumbled and then overcorrected, flooding my vision with a clarity I didn't want. How? Krill managed. Reflexes, she said, rolling her shoulders like she'd woken from a nap and not nearly lost her face. We spent a long time hunting things bigger than us. Throw something at a human, you'd better only need to throw it once. She tossed the blade back. He fumbled the catch so badly I winced. I sent 6 drones after that, stun-rated, because I wanted her alive to study, and because some instinct told me lethal force wouldn't have mattered anyway. She used the first one's own chassis for cover, tore a wall panel free, and bent it into something crude and sharp enough to matter. 2 drones dropped to a single throw. A third she caught mid-flight and used its own momentum to put both boots through a 4th's processor core. The 5th she didn't bother fighting. She just looked at it and said one word, and it fled back through the wall it had come from. They didn't stop being warriors, Wren told me afterward. Once the files started arriving, humans fighting each other for sport, climbing without oxygen, running until their bodies broke down and rebuilt stronger. A drill instructor screaming that pain was weakness leaving the body, as if agony were currency to be spent rather than avoided. They just built a civilization over the top of it, like plating over armor. I didn't have time to sit with that thought, because Maya was staring straight into a camera she couldn't possibly see through, smiling. Commander, she said, for the last 10 minutes this room's been broadcasting straight to Earth Command. My mother knows exactly where I am. She's not the forgiving type. I told myself that was a bluff right up until the alarms hit and 43 ships filled my scopes, arriving with a targeting precision that should have taken hours to calculate, executed in the time it took her to say the word mother. This is Admiral Helena Cross, the channel carried, a voice that stilled the whole bridge. You are holding my daughter. 60 seconds to release her and surrender your vessel, or I stop being reasonable. I ran the numbers. 37 of my ships against 43 of hers. Odds that favored me on paper and meant nothing once you'd watched what one unarmed human did to 6 armed drones. We surrender, I said, unconditionally. Her face on the display carried Maya's exact stillness, aged 40 years. Good call, Commander. Let me tell you why it was the right one. Every predator on our world that decided humans were prey went extinct, proving it. The cats, the bears, empires we raised ourselves and tore down again. We didn't inherit our planet. We outlasted everything that tried to take it. What you saw in that cell wasn't a display. That's an average Tuesday for us. And Commander, you've only met our biology so far. Wait until we show you what we've built with it. Word came in over the following weeks that this had not been an isolated mercy. 12 more ships disabled across 3 sectors, powered down clean, crews untouched. each one left drifting with a data packet explaining exactly how the weapon worked and why our shields had never stood a chance against it. Not conquest. A lesson delivered gently at full volume. By the time I stood before the council on Rixis Prime, I understood what we were actually voting on, even if 17 hierarchs did not. One exceptional specimen proves nothing, Hierarch Gan said, arms folded, 4 centuries of unbroken conquest behind him. It wasn't exceptional. I made them watch the drone fight twice. It was her resting pulse afterward. Steady. That's not training, Hierarch. That's a trait carried by an entire species because their world spent 1 million years trying to kill every one of them and failed. We didn't fight a soldier. We fought what their whole planet built on purpose. Silence took the chamber in a way I had never heard 17 voices go quiet before. Torvis, oldest among them, finally spoke. And if we refuse their terms? Then we lose slower, I said. And we lose worse, because every human we kill only makes the ones left standing more certain they were right to keep going. The vote came back, 17-0. I flew the treaty myself. Maya met me at the airlock in a captain's uniform she'd earned by letting herself get taken prisoner and then unmaking her captors from the inside, and 3 days of talks across a plain table with no power displays taught me something I hadn't expected. They didn't want to punish us. They wanted trade routes, joint research stations, a species they no longer had to watch over their shoulder for. Our planet never made us strong out of kindness, she told me once, at a window with Earth turning slow and blue below. It made us strong trying to kill us. Somewhere in all that surviving, we picked up something stubborn. We get knocked down and then we get back up, every single time. Which is how I find myself here now, 10 years and 1 blade later, watching a Cathari transport dock beside a human research vessel while their crews trade tools and bad jokes through the same open airlock. Maya is an admiral of her own fleet these days, still catching things out of the air when someone drops them near her, just to prove to herself she still can. She always can. Below the observation dome, a young engineer from her crew lobs a wrench across the bay to a Cathari technician, thrown badly, too fast, the kind of pass that should clatter uselessly off the deck plating. His hand snaps up on its own and closes around it clean. He stands there a second, startled by what his own body had just done without asking permission, and then he starts laughing, and so does she. I don't think either species will ever fully explain that reflex to the other. I've stopped trying to explain it to myself.